Let me tell you, it's all about financing smart meters and smart meter value chain. Ladies and gentlemen, he is an experienced financial services professional with over 14 years across transaction advisory, corporate strategy, investments, and credit rating. Mr. Pravesh has been working in Tata Capital since 2016, expertise in originating and executing buy-side and sell-side M&A advisory transactions, fundraising and investment analysis in the Cleantech sector. Pravesh has obtained Master of Finance and Control from Department of Financial Studies, Delhi University. He has also completed CFA Level 3rd from the CFA Institute, USA. Let's invite Mr. Pravesh Khanna on the stage. He is the Associate Vice President, Tata Capital Limited.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll try to give a different perspective from the financing side. And I would just focus maybe on 7-8 minutes on, what are the financing needs of the sector and what we can offer. And balance time, I would, expect some of the members in the audience to sort of let me know what kind of needs they think they have, so that, we can offer a solution accordingly. So just to start with a brief on Tata Capital, we are, amongst the top 3 NBFCs in India. We have a book of close to $20 billion, and we have 4.5 million customers. And within Tata Capital, we have multiple products that we offer, from consumer finance to corporate finance. And within that, we have a vertical which has been engaged only in the clean tech finance space, which is where smart meters would fit in. And there we have financed more than $4 billion of projects and more than 460 projects. This will be highest number of clean tech projects in the industry. And if you see our presence, it's across the board within the clean energy space, whether it's renewable energy, electric vehicles, smart meters, water, and green hydrogen as well. And if you see the kind of products that we offer, that would range from large project finance to as small as a consumer finance. So that's why you see in the book of $20 billion, we have more than 4.5 million customers. Now, how do we see the smart meter market? Now, the way we want to see the smart meter market as a long-term capital provider to the sector is not just about 250 million meters, what has been discussed. We look it as a long-term player, and we look at 800 to 900 million meters. Because all these meters, the contracts are for 10 years, and after 10 years again we'll be having a replacement. So as a long-term player, as anybody who wants to be in the sector for long term, that's the vision one's got to have. And what's the capital need? The capital need is not just for 250 million, which is close to $15 billion. But throughout the 20-year period, we'll need close to $50 billion in the sector. This capital, I am including both debt finance as well as equity finance. So that is the kind of scale that this market has. And that's why it needs, a kind of attention from all of us here, and as well as the financiers. Now, I'll just, focus here on where is the need. So most of us think that the utility is paying the AMISP, which is doing the bulk of the spending, and hence the capital need is towards the AMISP. Now, what is the reason for this large capital need is that the payment that the utility is making is a monthly on a per meter basis. But the AMISP is being supported by a lot of players. They cannot function in isolation. So the way we see this market is that we need to achieve scale fast. We need to go from 10 million meters today to 250 million meters in the next 5 years. And hence we see that there is a need for capital throughout the supply chain. Anybody who is providing a service, whether it's a meter OEM, whether it's a communications entity, all would need some or the other financing. Now we can provide financing less than 1 crore also and above 1,000 crore also. So depending upon the need, entire value chain needs to scale up fast. And the capital needs to be planned in advance. The reason is, for example, if an entity is looking to raise equity, they can take up to 12 months to raise equity. So I can't be just, taking large orders without having a foresight as to how are we going to fund it. So that is why it's extremely important that entire value chain needs to scale up, and hence the need for capital. Then what solutions that we can offer? On the AMISP level, we can provide project financing, leasing solution. Then we will also have sponsor level needs. AMISP is ultimately an entity, there is an owner there. So there we can provide, bridge to project finance and bridge to equity solutions. And since maximum entities here I see today are from the supply chain side, there as well, whether, you need a working capital demand loan, or let's say a purchase order financing or an invoice discounting, or a term loan to scale up your manufacturing. We offer all the solutions, and all these will be needed in some form or the another throughout the sector. And where do we come in? We have the ability to come in early at under construction stage at the project level. We have better structuring capabilities. We have faster turnaround times, and we have the ability to provide a larger quantum. And we can also syndicate much larger amounts as well. So we have a comprehensive solution which is across the board, not just AMISP, throughout the solution, supply chain. This I wanted to highlight just, what are the kind of risks that, could be there. So right from sponsor, so any entity which is, thinking about a financing proposal needs to think about these, parameters. From sponsor to construction, to counterparty payment, whether the utility is going to be paying on time, the meter failure rates, we're going to be analyzing, whether what's the performance of the meter being. The SLA is not being met, the downsizing of projects, the lack of project management, because we see there are multiple entities involved here. Downsizing of projects, we have already seen some of the announcements coming by where the tender was of a particular size, but then later on the sizing was changed. That again can affect the project level as well as the company who's trying to execute that project. Then there could be some initial consumer level pushbacks that could affect your installation. Then lack of project management, as I explained earlier, there are multiple entities involved, and we'll get into a situation where there's finger pointing happening, that the utility has applied an LD on the AMISP. Now AMISP has to, sort of similar SLA needs to be applied on to the supporting entities. So that could be one challenge which needs to be mitigated. And there would be supply chain risks that, availability of meters, availability of quality of meters, that kind of, could affect the sector. We need to see a lot of reduction on import dependence. That is extremely important. And bid cancellation and renegotiation. This has happened in India in other infrastructure projects also. So it's possible that, we see some of those happening in the smart meter space as well. This is, I just want to present because I think a lot of people, when we talk about financing, ask about interest rates. The interest rates are not static. The interest rates keep moving based on where the industry is or where the project is. As the industry scales or as the project starts performing as per milestones, the interest rates keeps on changing. So whatever be the quantum of, this is an example for a project. For an entity, it will be like scale, how they are scaling up. But it could be high at the initial stage when the entity is trying to execute the project. As the project starts delivering, the interest rates come down. So that is what we expect for this sector as well. We are right now in the process where we are just scaling up. The cost of finance could be higher, but as the sector starts to prove itself, we see the cost of financing going down. I think this has been discussed over the past 2 days. I wanted to focus on this because there is a benefit of the meter beyond AT&C losses. And we have, extensively discussed the operating cost of the discoms can be reduced, how remote disconnection and connection happens. So there is a lot of benefit for the utilities. I want to link this to why it was done globally. So India, we started with AT&C losses, of 20%. We want to reduce it. We are now in the 15% range. But globally, when the countries were doing it, they did not have such high AT&C losses. There, the reasons for doing smart meters were beyond AT&C losses. And that is what in the long term we'll have to focus on. So there are advantages that smart meters bring beyond AT&C losses, and which is what, again, as a long-term player in the sector, that is why we see that the sector will continue to grow, even if some utilities feel that the cost of meter is high. But in the long term, they will have to, install the smart meter. This is the final slide I wanted to show everyone, that the future of energy is not just one source of energy. The future of energy is multiple sources of energy. You will see solar, wind, green hydrogen coming into play. You will see, we are seeing virtual power plants, virtual PPAs happening in the industry. We'll have to see time of the day tariffs, and in future, like, it's in Europe and outside, you're going to see maybe energy being transacted a lot through exchange. For all that to happen, I would want to put smart meters at the center of it. All this, volatility in the sources of energy, whether it's asset utilization, planning capacity, cannot happen without smart meters. So that is why they have a very, very important role to play. That's about it. I'll not take much of your time. I would be happy to take, any views from the audience on, their needs of financing, etc.